the topic of rejection and exclusion, how would you say these factors can be utilized as tools for alchemy?
Okay, so when you think of the word alchemy, like I said before, I've explained it many times. Basically, it's transformation. Transformation, where that is a result of the things you've been given by life. And when a person is rejected or excluded, before that even happens, there's an entire story. There's a process that this person goes through. When a person is rejected or excluded, before they are rejected or excluded, there is a story. There is somebody that, you know, was born, and then they maybe go to school and they live their life and blah 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 blah. But there's a common denominator between most people that are excluded. Usually they're polarizing, yeah, but how is a polarizing adult formed? What makes a polarizing adult? What makes a polarizing person? It doesn't begin in just out of nowhere. So that's what I mean by there's a story behind rejection. There's a consistent story behind exclusion. And most of the time, these polarizing people may be neurodivergent. So, yeah, since exclusion is what life has given you, most of the time it has also given you the story that leads to being excluded, that leads to rejection, that leads to being polarizing, because most polarizing people, more often than not, experience rejection or exclusion at some point in their lives. So, how this can serve as a tool is in so many ways, but the way that I am familiar with is rejection and exclusion create space, which is something that the average human doesn't necessarily get to experience. And it might seem like a burden or a curse because we're communal people, we're communal animals. So, yeah, rejection creates space, it creates distance. And distance, at least if you have an inquisitive mind, which most polarizing, that if you have an inquisitive mind, which most polarizing people usually do anyway. So when you take that space, you take the distance, and you give that to a mind that likes to tinker, that likes to ask questions, they begin to observe the system, they begin to observe their spirits, they become the observer. It's very close to what it does to you, what rejection does to you. It's basically like an ego death. That version of you has to die, and that version of you dies because you start to ask what you were doing there in the first place, who you were there, and why that happened to you. And you know, and when you start to ask these questions, by killing the person you used to be, you, more often than not, most likely, from my experience, will slowly start to morph into who you were meant to be. And you'll slowly start to morph into who you were meant to be because you are literally shedding. You're shedding identities, you're shedding old stories, you're shedding who you used to be to birth this person. That process of shedding is the alchemical process.
All right. So, like, from what you're saying now, rejection and exclusion is like the physical realm's way of pointing you towards your power
Exactly.
and your ability to
Exactly.
build your community from scratch.
Exactly. It's literally pointing you to a new reality, because most of the time, if you're rejected from one reality, there's so many other realities. The world is not, one tiny box that is made up of just the people you know. You can always become somebody else. You can always move.
Right. So, would you say that inherently powerful people experience rejection and exclusion the most?
Yes, but a specific kind of power. So I think that society mistakes coercion and the ability to put fear in others as power. because society mistakes power as control. But then again, it's still, I mean, you're still going to have to play the power games, unfortunately, if you're going to participate in society. There is always a power game going on, whether you like it or not. And whether you accept it or not, they will either thrust you into it or, yeah. So because there's always like that happening, most inherently powerful people, now these are people that get their power from their sense of self, personal power. So people that get their identity, their strength, their power from the inside. I say there are people that live from the inside out, where the state of their being is way more important to them than the state of, you know, people's opinions. People like that are usually polarizing. Polarizing because they don't mind questioning the status quo. And because of this, they will be tested by the status quo. So it's not necessarily that, oh, you're powerful, you're handed this responsibility. There are people that are powerful within the status quo. I mean, there are different kinds of power, but you see that power that comes from the acknowledgement of your own sovereignty, that kind of power is usually in the hands of polarizing people. And these people, when they are affected by, you know, rejection and exclusion, it's because they are powerful. So yeah, it's because they're powerful, and the status quo recognizes that. Powerful in the sense that they maintain their sovereignty, their autonomy. They don't just give it away. And in a society that likes to pretend that power is control, the most powerful people are the people that don't give a fuck.
Do you think it's necessary to make a mental note on rephrasing the word rejection and exclusion into redirection?
I mean, I feel like rejection is redirection.
Yeah.
And I think there is a level of acknowledgement of reality that comes with understanding that what is happening to you right now is that this place, they're rejecting you. Or what is happening to you right now is that you are being excluded. It doesn't necessarily have to be reframed in that reality. So it doesn't necessarily have to be reframed in the reality that you are in currently. It's okay to understand it for what it is. But it's okay to take that rejection and then alchemize it into redirection. So basically, that is alchemy. Take it. So the process of reframing happens as you alchemize. The process of reframing, because if it's rejection, it's just rejection because you're just there. But the moment you take it and you unravel it, you unpack it, and you look at what it has brought into your life and what it has come to offer you, it starts to become redirection. Then you start to see that there's so many portals into different realities that you never thought existed. So yeah, that is how rejection becomes redirection. It's alchemized into redirection.